everyone, Nikki here. So today what I'm going to be talking to you guys about is how I kind of started my transition, when everything started taking place in certain things. And as I said before, I'm not on hormones right now. So, I was on spironolactone for a little bit, and there were a little bit of changes that took place. And I'll talk a bit about that later. But as of right now, I'm going to blood work tomorrow, and then my next appointment with my doctor is the 12th of August or the 13th. It's the second Monday in August. And hopefully then my blood work will be back, and then I'll be able to get on my estrogen and probably spironolactone again, because I got some testosterone, not forever, but until they snip my balls off. When I really first started transitioning, I didn't really have a lot of freedom. The very first thing that I would say I wanted to do would be cheerleading. That was around the time that I knew I was transgender, because the first time I discovered cheerleading would have been grade 8. A lot of shit happened in grade 8. Grade 8 was kind of like when I started going through a lot of these self-discovering moments and kind of growing on myself and building the fundamentals of who I am today. So what had happened was I had a good friend, and her name was Emma, and they were cheerleading in the cafeteria, and I was walking out the front door to go catch my bus, and Emma was like, Nikki, come cheer, because at that point in time I was already out as bisexual. So they were like, oh my gosh, Nikki needs to come cheer. But I went home and I was like, Mommy, I want to be a cheerleader. And she's like, no. I'm like, why? She's like, because guys don't do that. You don't be a cheerleader. And I'm like, whatever. What I want to say now is, first off, shush. Because guys can do whatever the fuck they want, girls can do whatever the fuck we want. Anyways, so moving on to grade 9, at this point in time I had came out as gay, because we're at the start of the year. And then we didn't originally have cheerleading at FHS, like it wasn't there before I went there. And then the first year I went there, when I was in grade 9, they started it up. And I was like, okay, this is a sign, I gotta do cheerleading. So I didn't even bother asking my mom. I was like, there's no way I'm not doing cheerleading. So I stayed after school, and I went to tryouts. Mom sent me a text. She was like, where are you? And I sent her a text, and I was like, oh, I'm at cheer tryouts. Sorry. And I made the team. Of course, everyone made the team, because it was a really small team, and it was our first year, but that's okay. That's how I joined cheer. Basically, after that, I went home, and Mom was like, so you joined cheerleading? I was like, yeah, I did. She's like, I'm not paying for that. I was like, okay, fine, I'll call my dad. So I called my dad, and they paid for it. By they, I mean my dad and my stepmom, who have been really supportive all this time. But, I was a stubborn brat and didn't want to live in Yellowknife. Nothing on them. It's just Yellowknife is really small, and Yellowknife makes Fredericton look like Toronto. And I don't like Fredericton because it's too small. So, yeah. Yellowknife is just completely off the table for me. After I went to cheerleading, that's when I started to be a bit more feminine, because we got to do our makeup, we got to do our hair. I started just being like, you know what? Whatever, Mom. I'm gonna do me. The first time I actually started buying feminine clothes would have been one of my cheerleading competitions. I think it was St. John, but it could have been Moncton. And basically, I carpooled with a couple of the girls on the team, and we went to the mall afterwards, and Mom had given me $40 for food, but we went to the mall and I bought the clothes I wanted. I'll see if I can find a picture on Facebook, and if I can, I'll put it up right there. But if not, then no picture. So we were at the mall and we were shopping. The 2 shirts that I bought, they were both basically shirts kind of like this, except one was black and it had the, not Virgo sign, but it had Virgo written somewhere on it, and then there was some sort of animal, and it was like hearts and colorfuls, and it was pink and purple hearts, and I liked it. The other one, I think it was just something, like a little, I don't even know. I only really remember the Virgo shirt, but I know I bought 2 shirts. Mom didn't find out about those shirts for about 2-3 months. And then I got really kind of like lazy, because at that point in time I had started doing my own laundry. But I got really lazy and my grandparents came over and my Nana did my laundry that day. And she found the shirts and she's like, "Are these yours?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "You know they're girls, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I like them, so I'm gonna keep them." She's like, "Okay." She threw them in the dryer. I think I had the shirts for maybe a couple weeks after that, and then they just kind of disappeared. They just kind of vanished, like poof. And I really liked that Virgo shirt. But I did not stop there. My friends gave me their hoodies. I remember Tisha. Tisha gave me this teal hoodie. I had that up until like 2 years ago, maybe. That's when I got rid of it because the seams were starting to rip at the thumb holes. Oh, it had thumb holes and it was my first hoodie with actual thumb holes that I didn't like cut with scissors myself. I loved it. I wore Tisha's hoodie pretty much almost every other day or every couple days. And I didn't let mom wash my clothes. Like, I was just, no. My friends started giving me more and more of their clothes and I was loving it. And then there was like a whole bunch of stuff going on. I may talk about that in another video at some point in time. That I probably won't talk about, but we'll just kind of see. I was sent up to Yellowknife to live with my dad and my stepmom for a little bit. It was a 5-month term period, and at the end of the 5-month terms, I would decide if I wanted to move back to Fredericton or if I wanted to stay in Yellowknife. And I really should have stayed in Yellowknife because I had so much support from Dad and Jill. Like, no joke, that was... Grade 8 was one of the milestones where I started becoming myself and learning and figuring out who I am and experimenting a little bit. And then grade 10, when I got sent up to Yellowknife, that was the moment that I was able to breathe and spread my wings, and I had support surrounding me, and I wasn't tied down or restricted. I was able to be who I was. Jill would take me out when we went shopping. It didn't matter if the clothes were feminine or masculine. She'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And that's where I got a lot of my more skinnier jeans. Ooh, my skinny jeans. Good times. I miss wearing jeans. I have to wear leggings for work, which I will admit is pretty boss. I love wearing leggings every day. But I wish I could like throw on a pair of jeans. Aside from clothes, basically she introduced me to a lot of grooming too. Like, that's where I learned a lot of how to moisturize and take care of my skin and face. So like I said, Jill was able to introduce me not only to clothing and skincare, but she also let me take a cosmetology class. And I was like, this is offered in high school? What? So grade 10, every day, second period, I would go learn about how to do my nails, how to do my hair, how to braid, how to wax. I never got to waxing, but that was where I experienced my first leg waxing. So that was fun. And then kind of like, it was really small though. Like I said, Yellowknife is a small place. It's a beautiful place. I would not mind going to visit and spending time up there, but I do not want to live up there. Okay, so the reason I didn't stay in Yellowknife, like I said, is because it was really small. There wasn't a lot for me to do. I want a big city life. Like, pizza places here close at 1. I'm like, what if I want to get pizza at 2 in the morning? Like, what if it's Friday night and I've been drinking all night and I get home? Last call at the bars here is 2 o'clock too. I mean, I don't really have friends to go to the bars with. But if I did, I'd be like, I ain't going home at 2. I want either a 4 o'clock last call or just an all-night bar. Because, I mean, like, damn. Oh. Yeah, it's a good thing I don't have friends to go to the bar with. Yeah, like I said, yeah, Yellowknife was small. There were a couple things I didn't like about, like, rules. My dad and my stepmom were kind of stern. Rules about the cell phone. That was the thing. See, my cell phone has always been my lifeline. I sleep with my cell phone. I still do to this day. It's on the charger beside me on my bed. I curl up like this. My phone goes right here. I wake up and it wakes me up with the alarm. So, that's just been me since I was like 9. When my stepmom kind of like started to insist that, okay, you can't have your phone past 9 o'clock and it has to go on the counter, you can't sleep within your room, you can't be on it all the time, I was just like, but it's my baby. And I am way too attached to my phone. But everyone's too attached to their phone. That's not just me. I'm sure I'm not the only person that sleeps with their phone. But there was that. And then at this point in time, I had also started smoking. And I mean, my dad would never do this. It was just kind of like a scary, shitless kind of thing. But he said if he ever caught me smoking, he'd break my hands. And I was like, well, I still need my hands and I want to smoke, so yeah. So Yellowknife was really small, rules on cell phone, I wanted to smoke. Realistically, those 3 things that caused me to go home were so minor compared to the many pros that were there, but you can't change the past. Like I said, if I was there, I would have already have transitioned by now, because Jill knew before I came out. When I moved up there for those 5 months, I had not come out to them yet. I hadn't come out to my mom as trans yet at this point in time. I was gay. But Jill knew. Jill friggin' knew. I'm not sure if my dad knew, but Jill probably told my dad, so my dad kind of knew. Like I said, I probably would have had my transition by now. They had supported me so much, I would have had paid education if I had stayed up there for high school. Because every year of high school you do up there, every year of school I think it is actually, that you do up there, they pay for half a semester of your tuition for university. I do believe. They might have changed that a bit, but yeah. So I mean, free school, shit. Looking back, I'm like, oh. After that, I moved back to Fredericton after the 5-month period, and I had all these feminine clothes that I was bringing back with me. I'll also put a little picture of a little thing that we did for fun at school. There was a week where we got to do a character thing. There was like 70s Day, Opposite Sex Day, Pink Day, and 2 others that I can't remember. And I can't remember whether it was Opposite Sex Day or Pink Day, or if I just wore the same costume on both. But I'll put that up. 70s Day will be here, and Pink Day / Opposite Sex Day will be here. After I moved back from Yellowknife, it was a little bit of a hardship with my mom again. We fell back into the same ruts, arguing. I went back to therapy, and at this point in time, I had started shifting my therapy and focus more towards transitioning. Melissa helped me make an appointment with mental health and go get all that stuff sorted out there. But I realized to get there, I'd have to tell my mom. So I didn't tell her. I took the bus to school. Yeah, I ditched school to go to my mental health appointment, and I realized that was gonna be really hard because it was about like an hour-and-a-half walk. Maybe about an hour. Give it about an hour. An hour walk. But still, I mean, I didn't really anticipate that far of a walk. I thought it was, I mean, I knew it was gonna be long, but I don't know what I was thinking. I don't really know what I was thinking. So I put that on hold again until later on in my life, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so that was part 1 of my lengthy transition video. Basically, I cut it off here because I decided that living in Fredericton, that was one kind of period of my life, and when I moved to Riverview, that was another kind of period of my life. So that's going to be where the second video picks off. Hope to see you guys all there. Love ya. Get it done, get it over with. Life gets somewhat better afterwards. It kind of gets okay. You just learn to deal with shit better. I just keep saying my favorite hoodie, but I had a lot of favorite hoodies and they were all from girls. Just saying, Mom. Whatever. Cut that out. But, I mean, I went home. But, I mean, so Jill was able to introduce. Rewind. I was sent up to I was sent up and so, I don't know why I keep moving around a lot. I'm sitting on my knees and it's really uncomfortable. So I'm just gonna sit on my butt and tilt this down. And yeah.